Hi everyone, my name's Neil Foster. I'm Regional Sales Director for Northern Europe for ICT, also commonly known as Integrated Control Technology. Today we're going to look at the benefits of using a unified access control and security platform. So first we'll have a look at the problems of using multiple separated systems. So conventionally that's an intrusion detection system and a separate access control system. Doing this gives operational risks. The operational risks can be nuisance alarms, so that could be caused by a part of the intrusion detection system still being armed, while a user comes along with valid credentials for the access control system, opens the door, doesn't expect the intrusion system to be armed. That's going to cause a nuisance alarm and cause an issue with the site. The other issue is with empty areas, so that might be all of the staff have left, might be a lunch break, might be an early finish. We've got the intrusion detection system not set, but there's nobody present in there. The access control system can't sell a separated system to arm. That could potentially lead to vulnerable areas being unprotected. We then look at double workload. So having these two separate systems, we have to have two separate lots of credentials loaded in. So that's credentials loaded in for the access control system and credentials loaded in for the intrusion detection system. That's doubling up on the workload for somebody. So there's all the initial programming to get that information loaded in, those credentials set up. But it's then ongoing. So as staff members join the company, as staff members leave the company, we've got all those credentials to keep updated. Sometimes there's chance for misplaced credentials. So somebody might get an access control credential, but not necessarily get an intrusion detection credential. If that happens, then that increases the chance of that operational risk and that nuisance alarm happening. And then the third thing to consider is information siloing. So we've got two separate systems that are going to provide two separate reports. So that's one report for the intrusion detection system, one report for the access control system. So if we have a live situation that's happening on that site, we're going to try and pull that separated information together to get the overall picture on what's happening on that site. That's even worse when we start looking at audit reports on a site. So if we look at an audit report, there's a situation happened on a site, we go back at that, we look at the reports from the access control and the intrusion detection system. We've got to match those two reports together to get the full picture. That can be even worse with the separated system and the fact that we could have a synchronization issue between the dates and the times on both systems, which can make that issue with getting the audit report pulled together even worse. So the solution is a single unified system. So when we say a single unified system, what we actually mean is a single controller. That's a single controller that can do a graded alarm system and can also be an access control system. Now, the controller that you can see on the screen can actually do control for two doors. We can have 4 readers on that, so we can do read in and read out on the 2 doors. And we can also have 8 zones of graded intrusion detection on that, so we can cover all of the zones associated with those doors. That can also be a graded communicator to go through to an alarm receiving center or go through to a centralized server. So that's one platform controlling all those devices, one set of credentials, and one set of audit reports. When we look at the overall control and configuration of these sites, then we can work on different platforms. So we could have a single site with a web-based platform for controlling it. So that could be a PC anywhere in the world can connect to that site, and we can configure and control the system, and we can also look at those audit reports and the monitoring for the site. We can then look at a server-based solution. So we could have hundreds or thousands of sites spread across the world. And what we can do is have one centralized server where we can have all that configuration and control. We've also got cloud-based solutions. So with a cloud-based solution, you could have a single site, or you could have multiple sites that are all managed in the cloud. Again, you can control, monitor, and configure all those credentials. So unified solution should be scalable, so it should be able to do everything from a small business to a large enterprise and everything in between. We're going to have a look at a couple of examples. So this is a small retail or commercial site. The controller that I showed you earlier on is capable of doing all of the access control and all of the intrusion detection on this site. So we've got two areas that we need to protect, the office area and the warehouse area. There's two important doors on there. There's the main door into the office, and then there's the office to the warehouse door. With the controller that we showed earlier on, we can control those two doors. We can have read in and read out on both of those areas. And we've got the 8 zones of graded intrusion detection that can cover those doors and the associated passive infrareds within those areas. Running through a scenario, as we get an office user that comes in through the office door, they can fob at the office door. That will give them access into the office, but what we can also do is disarm the office detection at that time. If that user then tries to get into the warehouse, that warehouse detection, the intrusion detection, is still armed. As they try to fob into that area, they haven't got authorization to disarm the warehouse detection, so their access is denied. If a warehouse staff member comes in, they can access the office via the office door. They can then access the warehouse via the office to warehouse door. When they access that door, we can automatically disarm the warehouse detection. When that area is disarmed, if that office staff member needs to get access into the warehouse, because the warehouse is now disarmed, they can now use that access control door and their credentials to gain access. When the warehouse time to close, then what we can do is we can have a double tap on a reader. We'll automatically arm the warehouse detection as that warehouse operative leaves. Or alternatively, because we're doing read in and read out, we can actually do what we call arm on a count of 0. So arm on a count of 0, we're counting people into the warehouse. We count them out of the warehouse. When that count is 0 for the warehouse, we automatically arm the intrusion detection in that area. When we're looking at the benefits of a unified solution, we're looking at complete visibility. So we've got complete visibility of what's happening with the access control and complete visibility of what's happening with the intruder alarm. So we're bringing everything together into that one common platform. That will give us better insight into what's happening on that site. It'll give us better insight into any audit reporting that we need to do. Everything is in the one report. We can see who's moved around the building, where they've been, any intrusion detections that have happened. We can also bring in video verification with unified solutions as well. So that could be a video verification of who's just gained access through a door with valid credentials. It could be who's just forced a door, or it could even be who's just caused or what has caused an activation on an intrusion detection. And then we also need to be secure communications as well. So we have 256 encryption as communications. As we mentioned earlier, the controller has a graded communicator built in. So that's a graded communicator that will use the IP network to that building to get signals off to a server or off to an alarm receiving center. If you're looking for a higher level of security, then we can get 4G modules that will sit alongside the network. So it'll work as dual path signaling. Or it might even be with that 4G module, you don't actually have a network connection to the site, but you do need a data connection so you can do configuration of the site, you can get audit reports from the site, get those notifications from the site. We can actually use a 4G module as a standalone unit without a network connection into the site. If we're looking at enterprise for larger corporates, sometimes people think that's a more complex installation. With an integrated solution, it's complexity made simple. Running through another scenario, we've got a multi-level building here. We can see down the bottom right-hand corner, there's a car entering a garage. Now, it could be that we've used a radio fob integrated into the unified platform, which gives access to, say, to that garage door to open. As that car drives in and parks up, we get a user that gets out of that car and then heads towards a lift to move to their floor, let's say floor 4. As they go to the lift, they can fob onto the reader in the lift, and with a unified solution, we can give integration into lifts and elevators. So as they fob onto that reader, that lift then knows that that user has access to get onto level 4. As they go up to level 4, we've integrated with the building management system. So that tag on the reader will then operate the lift, but it'll also say to the building management system, switch the air conditioning or the heating on in that particular room on level 4. As the user gets up to level 4, they can then walk through the building, They can then go to their office door and use the reader at the office door to gain access into their room. Again, we can integrate this with the intruder alarm system. So as they do a read-in, then we can disarm the intruder alarm system within that building. We can also integrate with the building management system, so we can then switch the lights on for that room. And all of that can then be repeated on the reverse. So as somebody leaves, we could do that double fob on a reader to leave, or we can do an arm on a count of 0. And as they leave their office for the day, we arm the intruder alarm system. We then switch off the lighting and we switch off the heating or the ventilation for that room. This makes the solution a lot easier for an end user, makes their life a lot simpler, also makes the solution a lot more energy efficient for them, and ultimately more cost effective. Looking at another scenario, which is a high security scenario, in this area we have a green icon, which is a staff member who's tried to fob into an area which that access has been denied, because in this area we need a supervisor to be there. The blue icon is a supervisor who's just gone in. Since he's in the building, that staff member can now access that area. If he tries to fob into a secure area, again, that access is denied because the supervisor is not there. When the supervisor goes in, that staff member can go in. On the left-hand side, you'll see there's an account that's working to show how many supervisors and how many staff members. Our supervisor has now left, so we've got an exception report. That staff member that's in there should be supervised at all times. With a unified solution, we spoke earlier on about the visual verification and bringing in the reporting. We can give a graphical floor plan. This will provide all the information for the layout of the site. It'll provide all the information for any alarm events, any access into any doors, any visual verification events can be displayed here. We can also give an operator access to unlock doors, switch on lights, and arm and disarm areas as well. When we're looking at a truly unified solution, there's so much more than just intrusion detection and access control that we can do. We've already spoken about bringing in CCTV images, so we're giving visual verification. We've spoken about building management, so we can control ventilation, we can control lighting. They should be able to integrate with intercom systems. It might be an existing intercom system in a building that you're looking to bring into the system. It might be biometrics. Your end user might not want to use tags or cards. They might want to use iris recognition, fingerprint recognition. So bringing in biometrics is important for these sites. We need to be able to integrate with wireless locking systems. If it's a multi-level building with multi-occupancy, we don't necessarily need to wire to every door. We can use wireless locking to make it a more cost-effective solution. If we're looking at high security solutions, it could be safes and ATMs that we're looking for integration into, so we know that they're protected, again, arming and disarming at the correct time in conjunction with the access control. On the multi-story building that we showed earlier on, we said about using a fob to gain access in through the roller shutter door into the garage area. Now, it might be that we actually want to bring in number plate recognition to control those gates and barriers on multi-tenancy buildings. That should all be seamlessly integrated into a unified security system. Managing information with end users and their credentials, we might want to integrate with MS Active Directory. If it's a large scale site or multiple users, it means seamless integration of bringing that end user information in, a lot easier to be able to handle the credentials. We spoke earlier on about lift and elevator integrations. Now there's two levels of lift and elevator integration that you can do. You can do a low level integration. That is just a reader that sits within an elevator or a lift carriage. As you present your card, valid credentials, it then tells the lift it can operate. You can press any button on that lift and go to any floor. The other option is to work with high level integration. With high level integration, it's more on the modern destination based elevators. So as I fob in with my credentials on the reader and I'm only allowed to go to floor 4, the lift knows that it can only go to floor 4 and allow me off on that level. We should be able to achieve a lot more with a unified solution as well. We shouldn't be locked down to any protocols. We should be open protocol. We should have custom tools. We should just be looking to be able to integrate with any software or any hardware. So we can literally bring in any third-party component. Looking at the security applications, there's also health and safety applications. So with health and safety applications, it might be emergency muster reporting. There might have been an emergency event that's happened on a site. We need to know where everyone is within that defined area. We need to have the roll call of who we need to make sure has left that building. It could be health and safety in door interlocks. There might be a hazardous area that somebody has to enter, but we need to make sure that there's an airlock in there. So somebody fobbing in at the first door allows you to go into the airlock. You have to wait until the second door's opened. Sorry, wait until the first door closes before the second door can open. With a door interlock, we can do that as standard with the controllers. It might be emergency lockdowns. So there might be a panic button that's been pressed. We need to lock down a particular area, or we might need to lock down a floor of a building. Again, that integration between a PA button on a site and the access control is sometimes vital. Or it might also be that we're looking at lone worker solutions. So in this video, we've got a worker who's going to enter into a site. This system is configured for lone workers. So when the staff member enters the chemical storage, which is the hazardous environment, as long as that staff member is continuing to walk around and trigger the passive infrareds that you can see, everything is fine. If that staff member stops moving for any reason, we can then put a delay timer on. If that staff member hasn't moved for 2 minutes, for example, we can then create an alert. That alert can then be pushed through to a control room, and it can let the control room know that we've got a man-down situation so they can handle that. So with a unified solution, we should be bringing everything together. We should be linking events and functions. So we should know where people are in the building. We should know what people are trying to do. We should bring in the facility of arm an area when everyone leaves, disarm an area when the first person arrives. We should be able to manage doors and floors to give access control to different areas, different levels. That user management is vital. We need to make sure that the credentials are inputted into both solutions, the access control, and also into the intrusion detection system, so there's no mismatch. We need to be able to do in-depth reporting. So that might be the muster reporting that we mentioned earlier on. It could be audit reporting. It could be things like time and attendance or maximum capacity in a room. We need to be able to integrate with a wide variety of third-party solutions, bringing in the CCTV that we mentioned, bringing in the lifts and elevators. It needs to be a secure communication. So with secure communication, we need to be able to bring in third-party devices in a seamless fashion. So with a true unified security solution with integrated building automation, it's all about saving time, making the end user experience easier, controlling the lighting, controlling the heating, controlling the air conditioning, those lift and elevator integrations. That ultimately is going to lead to being saving more money, being more cost effective from an end user's point of view. Thank you.
Hi Neil, thank you so much for presenting your session at Security BioLive and for ICT support. Your session focused on access control, intrusion detection and video verification, all being combined into one solution. This is an extremely topical subject of integration and interoperability, but also aligns with that trending theme of a holistic take on security solutions. So you mentioned in your presentation that the unified security platform is scalable. How much, could you explain how much so?
Yeah, certainly, Rebecca. So there's three different platforms that we have within ICT. So we start off with the WX, which is a web-based solution, which is for a single site. Now, with that single site, we can add controllers on, and we can go up to 128 doors on that one site. We can have up to 10,000 users. We can record up to 50,000 events. And on the intrusion detection side, we can also take in 512 alarm inputs, and we can also have 512 outputs. We then move on from there that we've got a GX solution. So the GX solution is the one that I mentioned that could be thousands of sites worldwide. And to be fair, you have limitations on what you can do with a controller, which is 248 doors, but you can have multiple controllers on there. So you can actually, it's with a GX solution, it's unlimited. And then the last one that I mentioned is the X, which is a cloud-based. The cloud-based solution is based on the WX controllers. So you have that limitation of 128 doors and 512 inputs. But again, that's a cloud-managed solution, so you can just keep adding those on. So literally, that's an unlimited solution as well.
Wow, so scalable is a bit of an understatement then.
We could
fully customizable, I suppose. Yeah, no, that's fantastic to hear. And on the cybersecurity side of things, cybersecurity and physical security is very much kind of merged into one in recent years, as opposed to being two separate industries. So, how important is cybersecurity for access control or unified security platform?
Yeah, well, it's really important for any security solution. To be fair, everything now is IoT and smart devices. Everyone's got a mobile phone that you can do wonderful banking things with, and watch Netflix or whatever it may be. But yeah, when you take security, physical security, and cyber security, it goes hand in hand. One of the things that we've seen is tenfold is the amount of times that people are getting mobile credentials for using with access control. So that just shows the uptake on the youth of today and the technology that they want to use. They don't want a fob or a card. They just want to use a mobile phone. So when you start connecting the two together, then you've got to be tight on the cybersecurity side of things. The last thing that you want is somebody doing a cybersecurity attack on a site that's then going to bring down the physical security. We've all heard the horror stories of IoT fridges or fish tanks that somebody uses to hack into a site and then bring down the security, or switch off the electric or whatever it may be.
No, definitely. And cybersecurity has definitely been a huge part of the industry across all different products and solutions. And like you said, it's not just mobile devices as well. It's, wearables, all of this new emerging technologies, and it's really changing the landscape at the moment. So Neil, I just also wanted to focus a little bit on you. As I understand it, we met briefly at ISC last week, but you've just joined ICT very, very recently. Could you tell us a little bit more about your role?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've been in the security industry for 32 years now. I've joined ICT, joined as regional sales director covering Northern Europe, and that is a very recent join to the company. But basically, my position here is to start spreading the ICT news, what we can actually do, what a unified security solution is into Northern Europe. But that's as forming part of the EMEA team. So the EMEA team is a big focus on EMEA. ICT are a worldwide organisation, been going 20 years, got nice coverage in Australia, New Zealand, where they're actually based, Canada, America. The EMEA region is the region that has really got that growth potential. So as Thomas will have said, there's boots going on the ground. There's new people coming in and regional sales directors, and also with technical support. So we can then really get into the areas and concentrate on those areas, look for the new partners to work with, and really grow the business within those sectors.
Well, welcome to a new side of security, and really look forward to working with you further. Thank you for your presentation and taking the time to talk to me, Neil. It was really great to have a catch up. If anybody has any further questions about ICT or unified security platforms, please reach out to the ICT exhibitor booth, which you can find on the platform. Find out more and connect with a member of the team. Thank you.